Salam, I'm Ahlam and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be making a boy's apron using this dinosaur print fabric. So here is my fabric. It was washed and pressed and then I cut out. This is a basic apron template, and then I have these three rectangular pieces. One is going to be for the top neck strap, and then the other two are going to be for the waist straps. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sew my straps. And I put the right sides facing together and folded it in half and pinned it together with these clips. And I'm going to go in 3/8 of an inch on this edge and then all the way down the long edge. And I'm going to keep the other end open. So for me, I would line it up with right here, this edge of the presser foot. And that would give me about 3/4 of an inch. And don't forget to backstitch at the beginning and at the end. That looks good. All right. And I always like to use the needle up down at the beginning. And then just when I get close to that, I'm going to stop to make sure I have it lined up just where I want it. And I think that looks pretty good. Maybe just one more stitch. I wanted a little bit too much there, so I'm just going to back stitch. Better. I'm going to take out these first few clips because I don't need them, and then I'm going to stitch all the way down. And when I get close, I'm just going to stop and take out another clip. And I'm going to keep going like this all the way down, and then when I get to the end, I'm going to do another back stitch, and then we're going to flip the piece over. Okay, now that I have it all sewn and completed from one end all the way to the other, and I left it open here, I'm going to clip this corner. Not too close. I think that's enough. And then I'm going to press out these ends. And then I'm going to flip it out. Okay, now I'm ready to flip it out. I just clipped the corner right here as well. And I'm going to use a smoothie straw and a pencil for this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stick that smoothie straw in the open end of the strap all the way to the bottom. And I'm just going to push it all the way to the bottom like that. And I'm going to take the eraser end of the pencil and I'm just going to push that fabric through the straw. At the beginning it's going to be difficult, but you just got to get it through there. Right here, because my pencil's not long enough, I'm just going to use something else to just push it through there. You don't want to use something sharp, of course, because you don't want to tear your fabric. And you push it out. Use the pencil to push out those corners. That looks good. And then you just slide your pencil out. Now I'm gonna press it one more time, and then we're gonna come back to close up the other end. Now that my strap has been pressed, I just turned that edge in there and lined it up as best I could, and then I'm gonna sew along that line. Right about there. I just want to make sure my thread is out so it doesn't bunch up. So I cut off the excess thread, and I did get a thread locked in there, and I just was able to cut it and pull it out. And here is the finished strap. All right, so now that I have my string length at the longest I can have on my machine, I'm just gonna do that basting stitch around the curve. And you just have to find a point where you can line your eyesight with to try to get that as straight as possible. And you know, you can stop if you need to. And I'm just trying to go slowly because curves are a little difficult. It doesn't have to be perfect, of course, because in the end, you're gonna fold this in. Just try to get it as even as you can. Alright, so what I'm gonna do now that I have my basting stitch, I'm gonna fold it in on that line and then again and press. And if I need to, I will tug on this thread a little bit to bring it together, just to have that curve nice and even without any puckering. As you can see here, I pressed it and I clipped it down, and now I'm gonna put my length back to that 2.5, and then I'm just gonna do a straight stitch down this curve, taking out the clips as I go along, and line it up with that. Let's see where it's gonna fall, and of course here you are gonna need to backstitch at the beginning and at the end. So for me, I line up with this little mark on my presser foot. Right there, that looks good. And I'm gonna do a few stitches and then backstitch. And I'm gonna go slowly because it's a curve, and that's how I feel comfortable sewing the curve. Whenever I get close to those clips, I'm gonna stop, take them out, and go. And if you're doing this for like your family or just as a hobby, don't worry so much about getting it perfect. Just keep doing your projects, do the best job you can, and you'll get better with time. And go at the pace you feel comfortable. Don't feel like you need to go fast just because you see other videos doing that. Because some of these are actually sped up, they're not going that quickly. Alright, I'm getting towards the end. I just want to make sure I remember to backstitch. And that's good. And when I cut the thread, it's actually better to pull it from the back and then go over that thread cutter. That way your thread stays under your presser foot. Because if you bring it up towards the front, you're picking up that thread through that presser foot and it's coming out. All right, so here it is. It's done. And now I'm gonna do the other end, and then we'll do the straight ends. So here I turned it in, pressed it. I just used the line to follow so I could line it up. And then on the edges, I did kind of like the idea of a mitered corner where you just sew a little bit and I cut off the excess and then I fold it in just so I don't have a lot out on the edge right here. And now I'm just gonna sew all along and then I'll come back when it's all complete. I'll do a little bit on camera and then the rest will be off camera. Alright, let's take up that presser foot and I'm gonna line the edge of this fabric with this middle leg right here. And you're gonna backstitch at the beginning and at the end. I'm gonna stop when I need to take a clip and then continue. I'm gonna higher up the speed a little bit. And then I'm just gonna do that all along and then I'll come back when I'm done. So now I'm ready to hem the top and the fabric is a little bit bulky here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use these to raise up my presser foot a bit while I go stitch. It's not really an issue when you back stitch, it's just the forward stitch is gonna be a little bit tricky. So I'm gonna line up my fabric where I want it to fall, like right there. I'm gonna get these. I'm just gonna, before I do that, I'm gonna make sure that this is lined up just where I want it. I'm gonna drop my needle so the fabric doesn't move out. And then I'm gonna stick these in as close as I can. And of course, you want the fabric to be over. And I'm gonna get them in as close as I can, and I'm gonna have to move this. If you have thicker fabric, you could use this button, but my fabric is not thick enough for that. So I'm just gonna use this way, go stitch by stitch, and adjust that cardboard as I go so I don't get stuck. Because if you get stuck, what's gonna happen is you're gonna keep stitching on that same spot, and you're gonna get a clumping thread, which you don't want. Oops. And there you go. Now you can keep going forward. If you're moving smoothly, you don't need to worry about that cardboard anymore. You can take it out. If not, just keep it in until you feel like your fabric is moving under those feed dogs. And I'm going to do the same thing when I get to the other end because it's bulky as well. Now the final step is attaching my straps. As you can see here, I just put some pins in place, and I'm going to use a box cross stitch to attach these. I'm going to take out the first pin. I'm going to line up my presser foot. I don't want that needle going into that bulky part of the fabric, so I will start here. Here I'm gonna check. I think that's right where I want my needle to be. I'm just gonna go one step. There we go. And I'm gonna pivot. Hold my presser foot, and then actually I'm going to try going at the diagonal first. I'm going to close that off. Actually, I need to go down one more before I do that, because it's not lining up the way I want it to. Better. Now I'm going to do a straight stitch down to make that first stitch. Alright, and then I'm going to do the next diagonal line. And I just try to match up the corner with where my needle is going to come. Let's see. Looks like I need to go down maybe. I feel like I need to go down this one more. Let's hope I'm right. Always remember to keep your needle down when you want to shift your fabric. And I mean, it looks pretty good to me, so I'm just gonna go. All right, when you get here, you're gonna just go back on that first line. And then you're gonna pivot and close. Oops, going the wrong way. You don't want to get too close to the edge because that's where you have a little bit of the thickness and you might have trouble. I'm just gonna cut, and I'm gonna cut in. I'll cut the excess thread once I find my scissors, and there you have it, the box cross stitch. Here it is from the front. There's some excess thread here I need to cut. Other than that, it looks pretty good. And I'm gonna do this with the rest of the straps and then show you the finished project. Here I'm gonna show you another way I like to do that box cross stitch, where I do the box first and then I do the diagonals. So you'll do the box first diagonal, then you're gonna have to cut your thread, or you can leave it and skip to the next line and do that diagonal, but I like to cut it, back stitch, and do the last diagonal. Sometimes I feel like it gives you a cleaner result. I'll line up my one more stitch down. That looks good. Oops, I'm going the wrong way here. Alright. Actually, that does not look right. I'm always shy like 1 or 2 stitches. Let's check down. And yeah, that looks better. A little snag there because the fabric is a little bit thick on some. I'm gonna pivot this way. I feel like I'm over that thick area, so let's see how this goes. And again, I'm not close enough. I don't know when I'm gonna stop being like shy, like 1 stitch. It just keeps happening to me. And I'm gonna do that first diagonal line. And I'm just trying to meet the corner with where I think it's gonna meet the needle. And I think that came out good. And then what I'm gonna do is, you can go back down this line if you want. Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna backstitch. And then I'm gonna cut that thread. I'm gonna cut off the excess thread just so it doesn't get tangled up. I'm gonna do that next diagonal. And you can start off wherever you feel comfortable. I'm gonna start off on one end. Let's see, right there. And I like to use the hand wheel just to see where it's gonna fall. Then I'll line up that corner, and don't forget to backstitch here because you did cut off that thread. Okay, cut out the corner there. Yeah. And a backstitch. That okay. Excess. So there it is. You could try different methods, see what you feel most comfortable with. So here is the completed apron. I hope you found this video useful, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.